Bonsoir. So, today is day 27. Day 27. And as part of the course, I'm trying to make up for 3 days in one video. Although, it'll be like a week before you actually see this video, so you know, it's day 27, but you might not see it till like day 47 at the rate I'm going. Whatever. So catching up on 3 days. Saturday, I really didn't do a lot. I just got some errands done, shopping, that sort of thing. I did have to go open a new bank account because I bank with Capital One, and there are no Capital Ones in the entire state of California. So that's been fun. On Friday, I had kind of an interesting dilemma, but I don't think it made it into the blog. I was not offered the job specifically, but I was one of the only people who was notified of the fact that the job existed. And it's a job in the industry, and it's a job that, like, I don't know, looking at it, like, on paper, I should want this job. It would be a job that was, like, actually in the industry, as I said, and it would be getting me closer to, like, you know, making the right connections. But reading the job description, I already knew that I would be absolutely miserable at this job because it's, you know, it's an entry-level job, which there's nothing against that. I have no problem working my way up. But the type of stuff that I have to do, you know, I'd be stuck in front of a computer all day, every day, probably working overtime. And I told myself when I left Louisiana, I was like, you know, you just uprooted your life and moved 1,600 miles. You are not going to ever again take a job that makes you miserable. And I really didn't want to ever have to have another desk job again because that makes me miserable. And I thought, you know, the nanny gig is guaranteed for a couple of years. Well, I mean, nothing's guaranteed, but, you know, I'm looking at staying with that family for a couple of years. It's really good money. It's a much more flexible schedule than working in an office. And it has all the things that I don't have to worry about, you know, in terms of if I worked in an office, in terms of having to put on makeup every day, because as you've seen from watching these videos, makeup's not really my thing. I mean, I love makeup, I love getting dressed up, but I don't like having to do it every day, and I certainly don't like having to do it at 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, if I have an option between get up at 6 o'clock and look pretty, or get to sleep till 6:30, I am sleeping till 6:30, y'all. I mean, it's just simple as that. But I mean, so it was one of those things where it's like, you know, it was very weird that if I had gotten that job offer like 2 weeks ago, I would have jumped on it. But now I'm back somewhere where I'm happy and somewhere that makes me feel balanced. And it's like, you know, no, I really want to be able to say that from this point on in my life, I'm not going to take a job because I feel like I have to. I'm not going to take a job that makes me feel miserable, and I'm not going to take a job just for the money. Don't get me wrong, the last job I took, the nanny job, I took it for the money because I needed money because I moved to LA with $983. $800 of which was immediately gone to pay my first month's rent and my security deposit on the room. So yeah, I mean, I was on a wing and a prayer for a while, which is why you can understand now why, like, looking back at all those videos, I was so nervous to find a job. I definitely took it for the money, but I also only applied for the jobs that were really something that I'd be interested in doing. So, I was kind of proud of myself for being like, no, you know what, you don't need it if it's going to make you miserable, so just let it go. There's still other ways that I can meet people, and as I like to say, all shall be as it is meant to be, when it is meant to be. So let it be. And then Sunday, I got up and went to the Bel Air Presbyterian Church in Los Angeles. It's over on Mulholland Drive, so it's a really cool drive up there. I'm not really going to get into a big discussion on religion and politics and history, But I took a lot of religious study courses. I took, religious study courses in Hebrew. I took it on the history of Christianity, the history of the Catholic Church, all this stuff. And I grew up knowing the history of the more charismatic religions like Pentecostalism and Assemblies of God. So I know a lot about church history. I know a lot about, the Bible and kind of its basis. And while I am a person of faith, I'm kind of leery of organized religions. But I like the idea of going to church. I like the idea of a community of believers. But unfortunately, I haven't always seen that when I'm sitting in the pews. And so there have been churches that I've gone to and never went back to, or had been going to and stopped attending because I felt that what was being preached in the pulpits and what was being kind of practiced by the church as a whole is like, this is our belief, this is who we are. We're not lining up with the original message and what we were meant to do and how we were meant to behave to our fellow human beings. And I was pleasantly surprised. Wonderful group of people, a really nice sense of community. There's a great amount of trust and respect, and I like that. I like seeing that. Like I said, pleasantly surprising. And of course, while I was there, I got to see my good friend Cy Richardson, who is a phenomenal actor, and we've done 2 shows together now. It's kind of funny how my life turned out. I was discovered by Pruitt Taylor Vince, and then while doing a show with Pruitt, I met Cy Richardson, who was the first person who was like, well, why aren't you doing this, professionally? And I was like, well, it's just something that I'm going to do while I'm in college, And Cy was like, no, you need to do this for the rest of your life. You have a gift, you should use it, kind of thing. And Cy also once compared me to Meryl Streep, so I kind of can't not absolutely adore the man, hey, someone calls you Meryl Streep, you have to kind of you're obligated to love them for as long as you both shall live. I call him the Cheshire Cat. He's always smiling, but he's just a really wonderful, helpful human being. So I got to chat with him and finally meet his wife. I've been hearing stories about her since 2009, and I finally just met her in 2014. So that was nice. And then when I came back home, I got to see my good friend Zach Castle, whom somewhere in this area there will be a link to his YouTube channel. He moved out here about 2.5, almost 3 weeks after I did. It's very interesting. We do have a lot of similarities. And so it's been, first of all, it's wonderful to have a familiar face and someone that and know that they're kind of in the same boat with you. It goes back to the whole, one of the reasons that I love storytelling of that's my voice in the darkness that I can hear and know someone else is going on this journey. He's not literally by my side every moment of the day, going through this journey with me, but we're in the same place and we're coming from the same place and we're heading to the same destination. So it's really nice to kind of have a little traveling companion along the way. And so last night he came into town and we went out, we got sushi, and then we actually recorded an episode for his vlog, and there will be a chance for you to see him on my vlog very soon, because we're going to do a lot of crossover episodes now that we're, in the same city again. So that's going to be something to look forward to, not just staring at my face 24/7, but someone else's face. Oh my gosh. So that was a lot of fun. And then today, back into the nannyhood grind. I did not have enough caffeine, but my 4-year-old was doing really awesome today. Before I've told you he's kind of had some issues with authority, but today was really awesome. There were no knockdown dragouts. Everything was really wonderful. He was so good today that I let him watch an episode of Jake and the Neverland Pirates. That's how good he was. And then I came home and edited more videos and decided I should probably make a video since it had been 3 days since I talked to you last. And I guess that's it. The poetry project is ongoing. If you want to follow the poetry project, please find me on Twitter, because I put stuff out to the Twitterverse all the time. It's kind of an addiction. Not kinda, it is, but you know, whatever. Please enable my addiction. Follow me. Oh, like the highlight of my day is that my biffle, my best friend forever, is finally watching House of Cards for the first time ever. Like, I've been a fan of House of Cards, like, the day that it aired. I started watching it on Netflix. Number one, love Robin Wright, love Kevin Spacey, but I'm gonna tell you, I actually started watching because of Jane Atkinson, who plays Catherine Durant. I'm a big fan of hers. I like the work that she does. She to me is the epitome of what you want to be as an actor, in terms of being extremely authentic and truthful in your work. Whenever I heard that she was, you know, attached to this project, I waited its arrival with bated breath. So I started watching it, and I mean, let me tell you something. If you're not into House of Cards right now, I'm gonna tell you this: you need to go. Just go. Stop watching me right now. Like, push pause. Get on Netflix. Watch it now. If you are not hooked in the first 30 seconds, this show is not for you. You can stop watching and walk away. But literally, my best friend, she sat down to watch it, and she called me, and she's like, I'm only 19 minutes in. She got to a certain point. This isn't going to give any spoilers for you, but it's when Kevin Spacey's character says, I love that woman more than sharks love blood. And she had to pause it, and she called me, and she was like, it is so good, I don't know if I can handle it. I don't know if I can handle how amazing this show already is, and I'm 19 minutes and 40-something seconds in. And I said, you know what? You call me after you finish season 1. And then you call me again after you finish season 2. So I'm really, I'm a show addict. You know, I am like zealous about certain television shows. Like, ask me about Battlestar Galactica, and I will do what I call a BS geek out. I am so all about Battlestar Galactica, the reimagined series. I never watched the 1970s series, mainly because of the story writing and the acting is just phenomenal. But House of Cards is another one of those shows that I'm just really fanatic about. I'm gonna have to do a list of like all the shows that I'm just obsessed with. You obviously know Game of Thrones, Downton Abbey, The West Wing will still always be probably my favorite show of all time. It's just Aaron Sorkin, man, he's just brilliant. And Allison Janney is just brilliant too. I mean, she's just it's actually, Allison Janney was the reason that I started taking Meisner lessons. Glenn Close is the reason I became an actress. Allison Janney is the reason that I went into Meisner training, though, because I had read that she trained in Meisner, and I just remember there's nothing that I've seen her in that I haven't just been in awe of her work. I love her. She's absolutely seamless, and just really, again, another actor who is the epitome of what you should be, like authentic and courageous and brutally open and honest and vulnerable. These are all things that you should be as an actor that are very hard to be in front of a camera. It's very hard to be open and vulnerable when you know that everyone's going to see that. So she is wonderful at it, though. And I remember watching her and watching all of the different nuances that she gave to different characters that she played, and thinking, that's the kind of actor I want to be. I want to be the kind of actor that brings that kind of authenticity to their work. I saw what her main area of training was, and it was Meisner, and I said, I want to be able to tap into my skills the way she does. So here we go. And so, you know, all these years later, here I am, a Meisner actor, and I am just about as fanatical about the Meisner technique as I am about some of my television shows. And I don't want to say, oh, this technique versus this technique, or, you know, method is bad or anything like that. But I'm going to say that I find that acting techniques are a lot like religion, you know. depends on what fits best with you and what makes the most sense to you and what works best with your brain. Meisner has always just clicked to me, and before I had any training, because, you know, I've been on stage since the age of 4. I didn't start taking acting classes till I was 23. Yeah, 23. 22 or 23, somewhere in there. I found that, like, as I was going along in Meisner and things I were learning were matching up with things I had intuitively been bringing to my acting and to my character development all along. And so it was kind of like, you know, these were my natural instincts, and Meisner was just building on them, you know. I thought that was kind of awesome, and I think that's why it clicked for me. Okay, I'm going to stop PSAing for the Meisner technique now and say good night and good luck. And this is probably like a 17-minute video, and I apologize for that. So, this is what happens when you don't update for 3 days in a row.